Your manifestations keep dying in the same place. You set the intention, you hold the vision, you do everything the teachings say, and then something collapses, quietly without drama, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. By the end of this, you'll understand the hidden saboteur living in your body, and you'll know exactly how to release it. There's something most spiritual communities refuse to talk about honestly. Anger. Specifically, the anger you've pushed so far down you forgot it was there. You learned somewhere along the way that anger was low vibration, that a truly awakened person transcends it. That feeling rage means you've fallen backward on the path, so you smiled when you wanted to scream. You forgave before you ever let yourself feel the wound. You spiritualized your way around the one emotion that was trying to save your life. That burial has a cost. Neville Goddard taught that the feeling is the secret, that your dominant inner state is what shakes your outer world. Most people hear that and immediately think about cultivating joy, gratitude, peace, and those states matter, but Goddard was precise in his language. He said the state you occupy, the one running beneath your conscious awareness, determines what you attract. So what happens when the state you actually occupy, beneath the affirmations, beneath the gratitude journal, is simmering unacknowledged fury? You get a split signal. Your conscious mind says, I am abundant, I am loved, I am worthy. Your body says something else entirely, that tightness in your jaw you've carried for years. The way your shoulders climb toward your ears every time you think about that relationship. The knot behind your sternum that you've learned to breathe around instead of breathe into. Your body is broadcasting a frequency, and no amount of scripting or visualization overrides a frequency held in the tissue. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote about this nearly a century ago. She called unforgiveness and suppressed resentment the biggest blocks to demonstration. She watched person after person do the mental work correctly. Clear intention, vivid imagination, spoken word, and still produced nothing. When she dug deeper, she found the same pattern. Someone they hadn't truly forgiven, some old wound they'd papered over with spiritual concepts instead of actually metabolizing. The word metabolize matters here. Think about how your body handles food. You take something in, you break it down, you absorb what serves you, and you release the rest. Emotions work the same way. Anger enters your system carrying information. It's telling you a boundary was crossed, a value was violated, something sacred was trampled. When you let anger move through you, feel it fully, hear its message, let it reshape your understanding. It metabolizes, it completes its cycle. The energy frees up. When you suppress it, the cycle freezes. The energy stays locked in your system, still broadcasting, still shaping your state. And you can stack 100 affirmations on top of frozen anger. The anger wins every time. It has more weight because it's been living in your body longer than your affirmation practice has. So why do spiritual people suppress anger more than anyone else? Because the teaching got distorted. Somewhere between your state creates your reality and daily practice, a toxic idea took root that negative emotions are dangerous. That feeling anger will manifest angry outcomes. That you must police your inner world with constant vigilance, catching every low thought before it can do damage. This creates a brutal loop. You feel anger, you panic because you're feeling anger, you shove it down. The act of shoving generates shame. Now, you're carrying anger plus shame. Both are unprocessed, both are broadcasting, and you wonder why your manifestation feels like pushing a boulder uphill. The mystics understood something more sophisticated. The Psalms are full of rage, raw, unfiltered cries of anguish, directed straight at God. David, who is held up across traditions as a man after God's own heart, screamed and wept and demanded answers. He didn't bypass his anger, he moved through it, and on the other side of that movement, his state shifted into something clean enough to receive. There's a teaching attributed to the Desert Fathers about a monk who came to an elder complaining he couldn't feel God's presence. The elder asked him one question: "Who have you not forgiven?" The monk listed 3 people. The elder said, "You've built 3 walls between yourself and what you're seeking. Those walls are made of frozen anger. Here's what makes this tricky. You might read that and think the answer is forgiveness. Just forgive and move on. But premature forgiveness is another form of suppression. You can't genuinely forgive someone while the anger about what they did is still unprocessed. What you produce instead is a performance of forgiveness, a mental concept that satisfies your spiritual identity while your body continues holding the charge. You've seen this in yourself. You declared forgiveness and felt lighter for a day, maybe a week. Then something triggered the memory, and the rage came flooding back as if you'd done nothing at all. Because you hadn't. You'd bypassed. You hadn't metabolized. The real practice, the one that actually clears manifestation blocks, is uglier and more honest than most teachers describe. You sit with the anger, you feel it in your body without trying to fix it, explain it, or rush through it. You let it be as big as it actually is. Sometimes that's enormous. Sometimes you realize you've been carrying a fury so vast it scares you. Good. Let it scare you. That fear means you're finally touching the real thing instead of its sanitized shadow. Anger held consciously transforms. This is an alchemical principle that runs through every genuine spiritual tradition. The Tibetan Buddhists work with wrathful deities, sacred rage in service of liberation. The Hindu tradition holds Kali, whose ferocity destroys illusion. These aren't decorative myths. They encode a technology. Anger, met with full awareness, becomes a force that burns away what no longer belongs in your life. Your suppressed anger already knows what needs to go. That job you've outgrown. That relationship where you abandon yourself to keep the peace. That family dynamic where you play small so nobody feels threatened. The anger knows. It has always known. You just wouldn't let it speak. When you finally do, when you create a private sacred space to feel the full weight of what you've been carrying, something shifts at the foundation. Your state changes. And Neville was right. When the state changes, the world rearranges. This is where the real discipline lives. Because processing anger is messy. It's not a single journaling session. It's not one good cry. Some of these frozen patterns have been accumulating for decades. You might need to sit with the same anger multiple times before it fully releases. Some layers won't surface until others have cleared. The process asks for patience, honesty, and a willingness to feel terrible for a while in service of genuine freedom. That's the part the Instagram spirituality crowd leaves out. They want the manifestation without the excavation. They want the wish fulfilled without cleaning the vessel that receives it. But you can't pour clean water into a cup full of poison and expect it to taste pure. Ask yourself right now, where in your body do you feel tension when you think about the person or situation you least want to think about? That tension is your map. That's where the block lives. The practice begins the moment you stop looking away. Joseph Murphy wrote that the subconscious mind accepts whatever the conscious mind impresses upon it with feeling. Feeling, the subconscious doesn't respond to words alone, it responds to the felt sense beneath them. If your felt sense is frozen rage wearing a mask of peace, your subconscious knows it's manifesting from the rage, faithfully, perfectly, exactly as the law operates. The law has never been broken. Your reality is reflecting you with absolute precision. If what's showing up seems wrong, the question to ask is, what am I actually feeling beneath what I'm pretending to feel? That's the question that breaks the cycle open. You don't need another technique. You don't need a new affirmation or a more vivid vision board. You need 5 minutes of brutal honesty with yourself about what you're actually carrying. Write an unsendable letter. Speak the words out loud in an empty room. Let the fury move through your throat, your hands, your tears. And when it passes, because it will pass, that's what emotions do when they're allowed to complete, you'll find something underneath the anger you didn't expect. Clarity. A state so clean it barely needs an affirmation, because your whole being is already aligned with what you desire. The wanting becomes quiet, the grasping dissolves. And in that open, honest space, where nothing is suppressed and nothing is performed, your manifestation has room to arrive. The vessel is finally clean enough to hold what you've been asking for. The only thing standing between you and that moment is the anger you've been too spiritual to feel.